Hello, welcome to WV Ed Talks, Learning from the Community. So tonight I have two very special guests. I love them so much. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves because nobody does it better than themselves. So my first guest, all the way from Fayette County, is Lauren Floyd. So Lauren, tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Lauren Floyd from CODA Mountain Academy. I'm their food service director, and we run 7 feeding sites through the COVID, and we work through the Office of Child Nutrition year round to provide meals to kids. So that's me.
And my other guest is my beloved partner. I say partner in crime because, feeding kids is such a crime. But Liz Brunello, tell everybody about who you are.
Hey, as Jenny said, I'm her partner in crime when it comes to West Virginia Food ER / Rapid Response WV. And for my normal job, I work for a nonprofit called American Friends Service Committee, and I organize our youth leadership and advocacy programming in Southern West Virginia.
Awesome.
Very good. And so a little background on Liz. I hope she doesn't mind me telling this. So we both started as AmeriCorps Vistas in the same organization, right? A little bit ago, and so we where we landed is interesting because we're back together and wanting to help feed kids. Right. So so how y'all been? How's COVID-19 been treating you?
Wow, it's been kind of wild in Fayette County. Just kind of learning our way around the new waivers and the new opportunities that we have to feed, finding good solid sites and socially distancing, following all the rules, and those are ever changing. So, but we've been feeding between 12 and 1,600 meals a day. So I know that the need is there, and we're excited to stay with it until this is over. How about you guys?
Now, is that the same amount you normally do, like when school is actually in session?
No.
So it's increased pretty dramatically, I would imagine.
Like threefold, at least, yeah.
And you all do a lot of made from scratch type meals, right?
Yeah, everything's a hot, fresh meal that's in a clamshell, and then we send boxes home with the kiddos on the weekends. So awesome. That kitchen is pumping from 6 a.m. till like 8 p.m. every day.
Wow.
And how many people do you have on your team?
19 right now. So.
And you're always looking for volunteers, right? Volunteers always welcome.
Please volunteer and feed these kids. We need help. As the need grows with summer and school ending and all of that kind of stuff, we're just trying to keep our eyes on these kids, having them come to these sites and encouraging that a lot. So we're definitely looking for volunteers or people that would even just like to join the team, in an employed fashion. So.
Very good. Now I'll put up your contact information. I'll post it later. So if anyone wants to do that, they can. I often share things on the Food ER group page or whatever, and when I can. And Lauren likes to send me pictures that make me so hungry every time I see them. Barbecuing out there and all that. So anyway, I appreciate you so much for all you do.
It's fun.
So yes, you look like you have a lot of fun, and I'll tell you, people that I know that that maybe you don't know that I know have all said to me that you are a ball of energy and you never stop. So
that's pretty
true.
But nobody in that kitchen stops. So I just chase them around. That's the only reason I'm not stopping. There are balls of energy too in there. Makes it fun.
Very good. Very good. So Liz, I'm gonna give the floor to you to just talk through the history of maybe start back even at legislation session, how we kind of came to the conclusion that we wanted to do something right now. You want to walk everybody through that?
Sure. Yeah. So way back when, it feels like it's like the BC AD thing. It's like pre-COVID, post-COVID, galaxy far away long ago. Jenny and I were working with a coalition of people through Food for All is a coalition we work with. and others, and with my student advocates and leaders, we've been working on legislation for a couple years that would have, it was called Summer Feeding for All, was the bill, but it was kind of almost a misnomer, because what it really would have done is address not just summers, but also weekends, those times when kids are out of school throughout the year, where we really need a plan in place for every single county for how to bridge that gap. As we know, West Virginia with the high rate of poverty, high rate of child poverty, that food insecurity is a huge problem. And we have the benefit of having amazing programs like CODA, that's kind of like a gold star, I think, in feeding kids outside of school and feeding families. But, in a lot of areas, there's amazing programs like this. And then, as we know, West Virginia, it being so rural, transportation is the forever problem, that there's just so many gaps. And we learned from working with learning from Office of Child Nutrition and others that there were almost, I think, like 500 or maybe over 500 summer feeding sites in West Virginia. But even with those, they were only reaching about 10% of food insecure kids, was kind of the best estimate. So that legislation would have basically kind of supported and compelled every school system and county to do like the groundwork to develop a plan, like get the lay of the land in terms of food insecurity in their county and what the needs are, make a plan for how they were going to, better communicate to families what opportunities there were when school was out of session for feeding, and basically make it kind of mandatory for school systems to at least communicate better with families, not necessarily to create new sites out of nothing. West Virginia is very, very pro not going by one size fits all for counties. Counties get to make their own decisions with what works best for them based on what their resources are. But we believe it would have been pretty helpful, probably in situations like the pandemic. The bill, if we had gotten it passed this past year, would not have been, implemented in time for it to be really helpful during the pandemic. But Jenny and I had conversations during legislative session as we were hearing more about COVID, and we're kind of like, I don't know if this is going to be a huge problem, but oh my gosh, if it is, knowing what we know about the readiness or lack of readiness, perhaps in some areas of the state, this might be really, really bad. And then we kind of had a moment when the governor, for the first time, it must have been just for a 2 to 3 week span, right after legislative session ended, when they called off school. And Jenny, I think, texted me or called me and was like, I made a Facebook group. It's called West Virginia Food ER 2020. Do you want to tag team this? Because we've been working together so much during the session to lobby for our bill. And I just want to plug the students. We had people fight so hard for this. We couldn't get enough people with the power in the Capitol to care enough about it. So we'll continue the fight after this for sure. But yeah, Jenny created this Facebook group over the weekend. I think it was a Friday, and over the weekend it grew.
Friday the 15th.
Friday the 15th. And it just kept growing. And our focus at the beginning was really like, let's try and be that kind of like informal, like community feeling hub of information, like a virtual community center, as Jennifer Wells put it, to help put out information, because we knew that info might be confusing. There might be like a ton of different areas all over the internet where some counties would post in some ways and other, it's different and it changes really quickly. So we wanted to create one spot for all that information. We worked really hard to try and gather resources. At the beginning, we spent a lot of time gathering resources about like what restaurants, there's a ton of restaurants, and we gathered that info of what restaurants were stepping forward when they still had the means to at the beginning of this, to say, hey, if any kid comes in, we will feed them for free. And then as things changed really rapidly, we were kind of like, okay, maybe we can offer more than just information and kind of a hub. Maybe we can also try and be a place for mutual aid. So we started taking some donations. And so far, over, I think about $6,000 in donations. 100% of donations that came in were put straight back out into the community. A network of volunteers that is now over about 300 people in 40 plus counties throughout the state, mobilized like overnight to start doing shopping, deliveries, and safe drop-offs at people's houses who requested some help with food. So we kind of took that and ran with it. We've been able to get some grant funding so that we can continue as long as we can. So we know that summer is worrying, to say the least. So we're happy to be able to continue to do this. And then with our Facebook group, we are continuing to promote resources that go far beyond us, resources that have existed for a long time, like United Way and 211, and all of the mobile food banks and pantries. People post, about all of those things happening in their communities. CODA gets plenty of posts about CODA because it's such a great resource for Fayette and Raleigh and Summers County too, I think. Yeah. So we kind of have that information there. We got approached by someone who wanted to help us create a website so that we could put all of the different like Google form requests in one place for people requesting help with food. We also formed some additional teams that could help with some of the stress management, pieces of the pandemic. So there's a team of social workers that are taking requests to make some calls to anybody who says, yeah, I would love a call from a social worker who could help talk me through some of the anxiety and stress that I'm dealing with. And we're also launching a team that is going to be helping people with service navigation, all the CARES Act, the different, iterations of the CARES Act and the benefits that are out there for people to take advantage of. But the rules and the regulations of what you qualify for can be super confusing. So legal aid trained a team of volunteers that's going to be helping with that too. So it took off very quickly. It snowballed, and Jenny and I have been trying to like build the plane as we're flying it, and make changes as we go, and learn and support our volunteers, and just do the best job we can as this little operation.
Yeah. What she said.
Sorry, that was a lot.
Yeah, it certainly was. It changed a lot. Like she was saying, it changed a lot from day to day. It seemed like in the beginning as we were kind of, figuring things out, but much appreciative of all the volunteers that have stepped up and all the resources like Lauren, who step up to the plate, not just now, but every day. So one of the things that has been amplified is that fact that there are a lot of kids out there that need food, not just now, but all year round, and when school is in session or in the summer. And CODA, you feed, like, you kind of, you satellite from your one place, right? In CODA and county. And so what are the schools? I know you serve several schools in
year round.
Yes. Yeah.
We're usually in Oak Hill Middle, and High, and then Fayetteville Elementary School, and we're in there multiple days a week, and we feed them every day. And the sports teams, we feed them, and the arts programs, that we bring in. We bring music, art, and robotics into the public school, and so. So that's been nice. We feed a lot of youth groups and things like that as well, just to kind of try to make sure that the meals hit everybody in the community that we can. But this new thing, this is a plane that we built while flying too, this new wildness. And it's kind of a day-to-day thing. I think you're obviously in the same boat. Every morning we wake up and say, what's our program going to look like today?
Right. Yeah. And talking about, like you mentioned, like the waivers and things like that have come through, and waiting to see if they get approved or what's going to change. So how's that? So it's really allowed for a lot more kids to get fed, I imagine, some of those waivers. do you want to talk about like what's been like the greatest help during this period? Has it been the waivers? Has it been like extra volunteers, or what's kind of really like resonated that's really helpful for you?
For us, No Kid Hungry, we wrote a grant with them and we won that grant. For us, that created the infrastructure really, really quick. We were able to mobilize in 72 hours and start our feeding program the very next Monday after school closed. And partially because of that, knowing that we would be able to source that kind of food. Mountaineer Food Bank has been another resource for us that they got tons. They just flooded us with fresh produce and milk and things that we were able to hand out, those things that were flying off the shelves everywhere else. And I feel like it kind of helped us to offset a little bit of the panic and the fear that some of our families were feeling when they were entering Kroger and there was nothing there. We were able to say, oh, no, don't panic. Here's an apple. I swear there's apples, yeah. And they sent us, tons of chocolate, and, nothing fixes pandemic crisis like a chocolate bar.
Yes, I agree.
We had people coming through crying. They're like, what's going to happen? I'm like, I don't know, but here's a Reese's. Oh, thank God, So just a lot, those resources have been incredible, Mountaineer and No Kid Hungry, but also just a lot of the community support, folks coming out and volunteering, folks just dropping clamshells off, to put all the meals in. Sam's had a little bit of a limit there. You can only get 2 packs. And if you're serving 1,200 meals and you only get 250 a day, you can imagine where that deficit, that can quickly become a problem. So folks in the community were like, I can pick up 2, you can pick up 2, and we just were dropping them off. So really, I'm really proud of West Virginia. I'm really proud of our area and, the people that we serve, because they came together as community to fix the community problems. They weren't looking any higher or any lower, they just were like, we got this. And that's one of the most beautiful things I feel like about our community is they're willing to help one another. So
same here.
Yeah, that's been our experience with the COVID mess so far.
Yeah, and so Liz, talk a little bit about what, kind of adding on to what Lauren said. We've seen a lot of people stepping up to the plate. We've seen a lot of organic things happening on the Facebook end of it with that group. But kind of walk us through, like, what you've seen out of volunteers. So I know we've seen some really interesting things going on that we really didn't expect that have been great.
Yeah, very, very true. Because Jenny and I both we had not done a mutual aid project before, let alone one like on this scale. So we were like, we think this is what's needed. Let's do it. We know it's not going to be perfect. Let's go for it. But because we were kind of like new to this type of work, and didn't have necessarily like this whole plan in place, we were like, let's figure it out as we go. We didn't really necessarily give our volunteers like a lot of top down kind of like rules. We gave them safety precautions and guidelines. We gave them through the reimbursement process we made sure that people knew that they could buy gloves, buy masks, buy the things that they needed. We were going to cover the cost of that. And we created a system that mostly seems like it's been working, where volunteers sign on to help somebody and get in contact with them, and then make shop and then make a delivery generally. But volunteers, definitely we saw like a really immediate kind of like leadership kind of like stepping up process happen, where in these teams, so we have about like 20 some teams or so that are covering either one county or maybe like two or even 3 counties in their area. And as people would like volunteer in the West Virginia Food ER group and say, hey, I want to help out in such and such county, or if they signed up through a website, we were just like, yes, welcome aboard. Now you're in this group chat. Now you're a part of this team. Here's the like simple process, like do whatever you can with what you have, kind of thing. And we'll cover your expenses and we'll support you. But we saw teams in certain areas, especially like just kind of like on the fly, like develop their own like process, like assign someone, you know, a role, like you're going to do intake, like figure out through all the resources that they have through their church, through their work. You're like, okay, well, we've set up a hub here. And this is where all volunteers who do shopping can drop off their food, and then we'll have delivery volunteers come and sort through it and make drop-offs. So there was so much like just like leadership, people just like taking leadership on the fly, which is really what we needed, because it took off so quickly that Jenny and I were both like, oh wow, this is a lot to coordinate. We're stretched pretty thin, and so we're super grateful for all of these really smart people just like taking charge, and that's been continuing to happen as this has gone on, because it feels like 5 years. I guess it's only been a couple months. But
8 weeks, but I'm not counting.
It's been 5 years since I left
8 weeks and 3 days.
I don't know what
5 minutes and 8 seconds.
But like people, you know, people come in and they do what they can, and some people tap out. They say, you know, some people have been like, well, I have to go back to work now, and so I'm not gonna have as much time. And we're like, great, if you come back, awesome. If you can't, that's okay. So it's a very organic process. We don't, you know, we try to make the volunteers' jobs as easy as possible. But we just kind of like accept anything that someone is willing to give and try to appreciate them and love on them as much as possible, and make sure they know that we appreciate them so much. In the Facebook group, as Jenny mentioned, there's also this other kind of like even more organic element where if people either, you know, they made a request and it might not have gotten filled as quickly as they needed, or they didn't make a request, but they just posted in the Facebook group and were like, I need help. You know, I really need to find these items. I really need baby formula. I'm in this county. And you see people with that community of 3,000 or 35, whatever it is, people kind of like see it and be like, okay, where are you? And they'll tag their friends and be like, just like organizing like very quickly to help this person. And so we really have no idea how many people have kind of made connections with each other just in the Facebook group, but we see it happening a lot. And yeah, so, and the other element is, through this, we've kind of made all of these wonderful connections with people that we weren't connected to before in family resource networks, in mobile food pantries, or any kind of food pantry, any kind of you know, community resource like that. We've made so many more connections to people so that we can work more efficiently. Mm-hmm. And you know, we all know that the more we're able to like effectively collaborate within our different kind of sectors of the community, the you know, the better off we are for it, the better off everyone is. So we've been trying to do that more and more, and wherever we've been able to kind of like have someone within our volunteer team who has these connections to the food banks, to churches, to all these different places, we've seen that that's been so beneficial, because sometimes we'll have a situation where we have requests and we don't have enough volunteers. In Kanawha County, for example, we just have an influx, this huge influx of requests, and like a backlog that we've been trying really hard to work through. But sometimes, you know, there isn't a volunteer that's able to do as much as they would like. So in trying to connect to the other resources that are available and make sure that the people who are making requests know about this mobile market that's in Bell, this one that's in, you know, this part of Charleston, and just try and do the best we can to get information out, even if we can't make a delivery to that person. So yeah, trying to do all of that.
It's a lot. Yeah, so I feel for you, Lauren. I had no idea. We just didn't know what we were doing.
I feel you.
So the other thing I think too that, you know, I've enjoyed seeing is some of the relationships that have built, like, you know, in the volunteer teams. You know, we have people that have met each other through Facebook for the first time that are delivering food and organizing that together, and they've kind of become friends in this little group of circle of friends, if you will, which is kind of nice to see.
Yeah, it's so nice. I feel like I've also been able to be like, it's been a rough Monday, everybody. It's felt like a week of Mondays, and people will be like, yeah, I hear you, but stay strong. So it's some of those groups. Yeah, it's so cool how people have kind of formed little support groups, and yeah, I think we've all like through this. We're all feeling like this kind of need for human connection that we can't get all the way there through Zoom. We're all doing our best to try and stay connected, but it's hard. So it's really beautiful when those just random kind of organic sources of support can spring up. And I think that's happened a lot through this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I follow, the site very closely, and I'm always just so amazed at the empowerment that, you've empowered all of these people to take charge of their part of the community. You're like, oh, you live there? Well, own that. Would you own that over there? Instead of someone coming from Kanawha to fix Fayette's problem, Fayette people are fixing Fayette's problem, but Kanawha people, and I'm just so proud. I sit there reading it all the time, like, clap, like I'm clapping as I scroll because I'm so excited at how well that your site is going and how effective it is. It's very cool.
There's been some really interesting things that have happened too, just where people are seeing other perspectives that they may not have understood completely through this, like judging people. I think some of that has kind of gone out the window. Like they have more of an understanding of why parents may not be able to feed their children, or so and I see that with even just the school system itself. It's where parents and teachers are kind of like forging more of a relationship together now, because it's a level playing field and we're all in this together, and I see the same thing in the socioeconomic differences. Is people just have come together where maybe they weren't understanding in the beginning of this. So it's been really nice to see that, perspective changing. Sometimes people get all upset on there, and we have to go in. We have to say, "Oh, wait, time out." So we, let's meditate. But it's funny though.
Jenny will do a post with us as our Bitmoji cells, kind of like, all right, it's a stressful time.
Every time I see that, I click. I'm like, ooh, drama. What's going on?
We all knew it would, and it'll continue to happen as people are like, we all have our limits. And I know that a lot of us use Facebook, use social media as that place to vent. And so sometimes that's cathartic and healthy, and other times it is not helpful to the rest of the community. So
right, yeah. But in the end, I think everybody is kind of saying the same thing. It's just they're saying it from different perspectives. That's what's so frustrating at times. Is like, hey, I know you want to feed kids. Oh no, I know you do too. But you're looking at it from different different ways. So
yeah, anyway. That's so true, because it's like sometimes you don't know when you're unhappy with something, whether it's like, I feel like these meals aren't quality. I'm glad I've been getting these meals. Thank you to people who are providing these meals. However, I've seen that our meals in this county might not be as quality, it seems like, as this other county. And like in that position, if I were a parent in that position, I would kind of be looking to be like, okay, how do we solve this problem? Is there a way to improve the meals that we're being offered? And when you don't know kind of like how all of these mechanisms work, how like contracts are bid upon, and how everything in each county is so different that it's like comparing apples and oranges.
Literally,
that you're just kind of like, who do I go to like fix this problem? And sometimes people, who are working very hard can hear that and be like, you know what, you just need to be happy with what you have. And I think that you can empathize with every position, involved, but there is kind of an element that Jenny said that's true, which is like, I think most all levels, all sectors we've seen anyway, are doing their very best, and sometimes we just don't know the challenges that they're coming up against, like internally. You just can't know unless you are in their position or have a close relationship with that person making those decisions.
Yeah. I appreciate that about the site too, is that you have so many people who specialize in so many different things that if something, an idea is presented that really, or a headline say that isn't exactly right, because I know that's hard to imagine that the news might not be entirely accurate all the time. There's somebody that specializes in that area that can quickly fill folks in and fill those gaps of information so that we can all understand each other better.
Yeah, it's a lot of educating going on behind the scenes, I think, or on the front page, I should say. So talking about, I wanted to touch on a little bit about what CODA does just in general. I mean, you talked about robotics and you talked about other things you do, which I am very familiar with because I've known you for a while. But I just wanted you to have that opportunity to plug those things right now too, because you all do such an amazing job. Yes.
You get excited about that stuff.
I know you do. So kind of tell us like what all programs and like how many kids do you serve? Like I know you go into the schools and then you have your actual site too. Right. And you work with not only public school kids, you work with homeschool children too, right? So which is amazing.
Open to the whole community, really.
Yeah.
So in the schools, the kids can sign up and they can learn, ukulele, banjo, guitar, all the instruments. And we give them those instruments, loan them to them for that semester, give them free lessons, feed them a free meal, or robotics. We have competitive robotics teams that go all the way to Fairmont and compete in nationals and internationals. They're amazing. And that's like 5 days a week. We have cooking classes on Fridays that are, that all these kids at the school. But then on Thursday nights, we have a program called CODA Community. And it's for anyone in the community that isn't, getting it at the school, they can come and get those same programs, all of them, that night. So we feed their whole family dinner. And while they're enjoying their dinner, they can kind of kick their kids out and we'll stick them in a class. And they get lessons, and that's an extraordinary, I love that we can access that way. We're not just only if you're at this school, this is open to everybody.
That's amazing.
Cool. That's amazing. And I love that. Like the food part of it, the food is an important part of it, but you're offering so many things to kids. So
feed
cool.
their body, then feed their mind, both of them together. Very important, because I think they struggle to learn after a long day of school. Just giving them like a pack of crackers isn't going to cut the mustard. They're these teenagers. Well, how they are. They're like little locusts. So, they're like a little plague through there. So we feed them a full meal, and for some of them, that's the only meal. We're hearing that more often than we care to think about. That's the only meal that they're going to see in the evening. So we got to make it right. And we serve it kind of family style around the table, so that we're hoping that folks will learn good habits, about like with our cooking class, the kids learn to cook the meal. Then they take an entire meal home to their family, like enough for their whole house. And the only rule is that they have to eat it at the same table with their family members, because we know how important it is, for kids to have that bit of community in their home. And we've just kind of heard some really cool stories about kids, that hadn't eaten at their dinner table since the holiday before. That was months. So really strengthening the family, and then inspiring them through the arts, and then feeding their bodies too. So I'm really proud of the work that CODA does.
Yes. I'm proud to know you. And so you talked, I guess we were sitting, it was back during legislation session, and we were sitting in the governor's office, or when he was getting ready to do a press release or press conference. And you talked about educating parents or families with cooking classes, because you feel like, well, that's something that's needed. And, Liz and I had talked to a group of people last week, I think it was, who was a collection of people that were also interested in educating parents right now with cooking, giving them recipes. So I'm wondering if is that something that you could see could come out of COVID-19? Like, I mean, for example, to pitch this to you now, Lauren, live on Facebook. I mean, would you be interested in doing some sort of live cooking demonstrations, kind of educating parents on the website or whatever? I'm just thinking, because I know that there's so much interest in gardens now and fresh food. People are going to get their PEBT cards that maybe haven't, had that experience yet. So they're going to have to buy fresh foods and things that they're going to have to cook with. So I see value in that. So, I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
That would be, see, that's what I was fantasizing. Like, how do we get all these people to learn how to use the resources that they have? The other thing is that the National Guard has worked so hard, and the USDA, to push USDA food into the community. And a lot of times that stuff looks a little like it doesn't look like something they recognize. Right. Beef in a can. What am I going to do with that? Like, I mean, pinto beans. I cannot believe the number of people that don't know how to cook pinto beans. This is West Virginia. That's like literally, I think we're founded on pinto beans and cornbread in the panhandle. Like, I don't know. It should be
and pepperoni rolls.
Yes. I mean, what's going on? So I would love to be able to teach people to use those USDA commodities as well as the fresh things that they're going to be coming in contact with to make really nutrient dense, satisfying meals that take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I think that would just really benefit the community and really help, kind of offset some of those concerns about food insecurity, like, because that there'd be a meal there. I think some of the food insecurity comes from sheer lack of education.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I look at like now as this opportunity to, because we're still gonna all go out in the open and eat at restaurants or whatever, and we're still gonna be kind of cooped up in the house. So I mean, what a better time to teach people how to cook. And, in my opinion, and, I think it's a great idea. So
let's do it. Seriously.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Spatula, let's go.
See, Liz, I just got us some more work.
Sorry, Liz.
Cooking Google form coming your way. Sign up tomorrow.
But I so many people's brains who do this community organizing work. That's how our brains work. We're like, oh, another layer. Wonderful. Let's add this new layer because we know it's needed and it'll be helpful. But cooking, yeah, especially if you are able to cook with your kids or do anything like that, seems like a great way to spend some time. I know for people, I do not have kids, but I know from my friends who have kids that the pandemic is a tough time to not just be.
She froze.
Spend a whole day, how to spend, the whole day and everything. So seems like a win-win kind of situation for sure.
Yeah. And the other thing, I think that folks are they're exhausted with doing a lot of the school stuff. They see all these online video Zoomy things they have to go to and all these and they're really struggling to help their kids with school. And in the kitchen, there's just so much education that can happen there between, teaching them how to measure. Oh, we're going to double this recipe. What's that look like?
Right.
But you can teach just temperatures, just all of that kind of stuff. That if parents will cook with their children, that education, you learn so much more while having fun.
Mm-hmm. Math, science, reading, all of that, all those core subjects right there in the kitchen.
Yep. Reading comprehension, all that.
Yeah.
So that would be that's such a good idea. I'm so excited.
Yeah. And I do not have a green thumb, so I will defer to the people that do have active gardening, growing lives, because I'm still trying to teach myself how to do that. But that too, that like outdoor classroom piece of things, and yeah, and of course growing things, being able to have like a victory garden or whatever it is, definitely makes you a more resilient family, you know, moving forward too. If you can grow just like a few things at home, you know, I need to learn how to do it too, because it's not my strength, but yeah, my husband's better at it.
I never had a garden growing up. I'm from Florida originally. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4 dead orchids out of the frame, so you can't see them.
Yeah, same. You can't grow a garden in sand, which is what my backyard was in Florida as well. So let's blame Florida.
I mean, we grew oranges.
Oh yeah,
they came up naturally. I don't think we actually did anything to make them happen. I think that Florida just Florida oranges. But yeah. I mean, my grandpa. So I get that, and I know that CODA actually has a couple like a group that's teaching kids how to garden in a video format right now. They're doing like growing challenges. So if you want to ever link to that and send some people to watch those vids, the CODA's providing the seeds and whatever for the kids to practice growing tomatoes and cucumbers and whatever.
Very cool.
I'll link that to you later.
Yes, please.
So.
One of the other things that I know you were doing, Lauren, was you were making these nice baskets for essential workers.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Oh, that was it is so fun. I'd like to pretend that it's past tense. Sorry, Cinder Chamberlain, if you're watching this. She's been making baskets and sorting chocolate for 3 weeks. We have thousands of pounds of just beautiful, like Linder's and Ferrero Rocher and just beautiful chocolates. And we were making baskets. Thank God for Easter for so many reasons. But when Easter ended, we walked into Walmart and fleeced every basket they had. And we've been filling them up. And our version of essential worker is anybody who was working during COVID. Like if you're working at Dollar Tree, you're just as exposed, you're dealing with folks too. So we were just taking kind of requests from folks that had an essential person in their lives, and they could come and pick up a basket full of joy and happiness and take it to them, for their break rooms or whatever. We were leaving them on people's porches with little cards and things. We called it we said it was part of Operation Sunshine, which is part of CODA as well. But we still have probably 100 and some baskets available to folks. If you have a loved person or just a person you see that's going over and above and their morale is just, because it's been a long 8 weeks, 3 days and 8 minutes, 9 minutes, whatever. Reach out to us at codamountain.com, or on our Facebook, CODA Mountain Academy, and we will put a basket in your hands, no cost to you. Just promise us it's going somewhere good to someone, and we will make sure that happens. But and we're doing some delivery. If you have a place and you don't have a ride to get there, we will do delivery, for those people that are requesting baskets too. So.
See, I told you she does it all. So she does it all. Liz, so you do something else normally. So how are those kids doing through COVID-19? Yeah.
I think So my normal job is working with teenagers, and our structure, like everything with young people, is really centered on time together in person regularly. We are after school generally, and when school got canceled, Jenny and I launched this, and I've been trying to check in with my kids and stuff, but it's tough. It's really tough. I've been talking to teachers who are, expressing the same kind of like, I want to reach every single student. And when they're not forced to be right in front of you, and when they're dealing with the overwhelming stress. I can't even imagine what it would be like to be a teenager, to be a kid right now. Just how much instability, confusion, disappointment, just everything. I mean, it's just so much anxiety. I think it causes some, I think, to kind of like hide. And I've had mornings where I've woken up and I've also wanted to hide. I get it completely. And I've been trying to kind of, just see what they need, check in personally, see how we can, like, we've tried a lot of different platforms for meeting. And I ended up ponying up and just paying for a Zoom, paying for the Zoom. I didn't want to pay for the Zoom, but I've paid for Zoom. So we can have that reliable place to meet with each other. We've tried like playing games, like just playing like there's like an online gaming thing called Jackbox Games where we can just like and just like just not even try to like do any like official programming, just kind of like have fun together. So yeah, it's been really weird. It's been really, really tough. We all miss each other a lot. I miss them like crazy. I'm working on some care packages for them right now too. And yeah, we in our program do a ton of trips. That's kind of like our bread and butter. We're going to colleges and going to the legislature and going to, a lot of our students go to this thing that started a couple years ago, started by high school students in Charleston, called the Rainbow Prom, which is this awesome LGBTQ inclusive rainbow formal event dance. And that was really sad to have there's so many things that keep getting canceled. And summer was the time where we go on like a ton of trips. Like last year, we took some of our students to New Orleans. Others went to DC and just all over the place. So it's tough. It's tough to kind of like not know what's in store. We're trying to stay positive. Me and I work with two awesome mentors as well, Ricky French in Logan County and Fish Stark in Boone County, and just try and keep reaching out to people, keep kind of having like a lot of just being really accessible. Like if a student wants to talk, like usually no matter pretty much any time within reason, just trying to be there for them and figure out with them what they need. So it's been weird. I'm trying to learn better also to just get more comfortable with technology. Because before as a program, we were like, we never did virtual meetings. We were always just like, let's just go be in person together and eat food together. And so it's a huge change and kind of being forced to adapt really quickly.
Admit it, Liz, there's some good parts. We can wear our jammies.
Yes.
That's true.
Biscuits from here up, jammies from here down.
Yeah,
I'm wearing my jammies right now.
Pants on. Yeah, there are mega positives like pajamas.
The end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to see your youth in action a few times at the Capitol, and I'm always impressed. So that maybe they're not doing anything now like that, but when you do bring them out, they're very very impressive. And I know just even with the summer feeding bill, at the end we felt so defeated, and we were just, okay, well, let's just see if people can just sign a pledge saying that next session they'll support this bill. And they took off, and they went from one legislator to the next and just and flagged them down and put them on the spot. And I can't remember how many signatures they got, but so cool. that was a good day.
The very last day of session was kind of our okay, our bill is dead, but you will see us and you will hear us kind of moment. And and they just on the floor of the House were just like Jenny said, just like little bees going to different flowers, just like, sign this pledge. We're like, the floor session hadn't started yet, so it was like right before that, and they were just kind of going to everybody and talking with anybody that they could. They're so tenacious. They're really resilient. We've done a lot of do a lot of policy work, and we haven't gotten a ton of wins all the time. There's always like, wins in the sense of like when you're learning about the process, when you're becoming more empowered as a citizen, when you become like just that much more comfortable with talking to your representative. I mean, those are all huge wins. But I think it's fair to say that we're used to losing sometimes when it comes to like some of our bills, but through that have learned, the kids and I mean all of us have just learned to be like, okay, we will grieve for a day and we will eat pizza and then we will figure out what we're going to do next.
Which is exactly what we did that day, I believe.
That's exactly what we did that day.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the process to become a summer feeding site. Well, I have you here, Lauren. I have seen the manual, and it's quite big.
214 pages.
There you go.
I just printed it yesterday. That's why I know.
Okay. Yeah. That was probably front and back too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're like, print this for your convenient references. I was like, what? You're gonna flip.
But I saw that, I was like, well, no wonder.
Yeah, the training is 8 hours.
Oh wow.
On like, digitally, and I have horrible internet, so it's like 18 hours.
Right. Yeah. So I figured that could be part of the problem, is we think that there are a lot of not official summer feeding sites that feed kids, we're trying to connect to, because we know we're going to need them this summer, especially.
Yeah.
But I know like training, so you can do an online training, as you mentioned.
Yes.
And then there's an in-person training that like Department of Ed offers. I know that.
Yeah.
So
everything is Zoom this year. Like, okay, really everything is Zoom, and really it's self-paced. So if someone is interested in starting, a summer feeding site, they're desperately looking for more sponsors. So if you're passionate about food, if you're passionate about feeding kids, if you love your community and really want to, dive in and see how you can help, definitely reach out to the Office of Child Nutrition. They are desperately looking for sites. It's my understanding that only 16% so in Fayette County for us, it's 89.93% kids are needy. Wow. That's just,
yeah.
And of that 89.93%, 16% of children's, that's in like kind of an average number statewide, are accessing summer feeding sites because of those barriers, transportation. Sometimes the parents aren't engaged. Like there's just 1,000 reasons why that might be happening. We're not promoting them as well as we need to, just whatever. So, we need help to combat food insecurity and and stuff. Our community still need you, so if there's some interest, please reach out to the Office of Child Nutrition. You can Google it. They're more than willing to answer your questions and help you get set up.
Now, is there like, once you go through the training, is there like a wait period, or is there like a deadline each year that you have to become a summer feeding site, or is it just you get trained, certified, and then you're in?
They want you to train, and then they help you pick the site. Mm-hmm. Because if there's too many sites bunched up, like Oak Hill doesn't need anybody else. You know what I mean? But Meadow Bridge, they don't have one. Anstead, there's nobody really out there. There's some holes, there's hollers, and they'll help you pick that, and they'll get you started right away. Okay. But I know that there are some deadlines. I cannot promise what those dates are right now. But I know there are a few, but those should be on the Office of Child Nutrition's website as well.
Yeah, and Amanda Harrison, who is in charge of Office of Nutrition, she's always great to work with. Yeah. She's provided us with a lot of data that's helped, get a lot of kids fed, and and hopefully inspire people to, do what you do, Lauren, and in your neck of the woods. And so I'm very grateful for that partnership. So
they're very supportive. They'll answer any questions same day. I know it seems daunting, when you're holding a manual the size of, the dictionary, and you're like, I can never master this. You don't have to master this. You just have to, you can always call, keep the lines of communication open, and they will help you get it done. Because they're just as passionate about making sure kids have access to nutrient dense meals as we are, or you or whoever, is. So.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. So looking at the summer, do you expect like even more than are eating now to need food, or do you think it'll probably remain about the same?
I think we hit a little bit of a peak, when they shut everything down and folks couldn't find what they were looking for in the stores. And now it seems like it's starting to kind of level out in a very reasonable, rational, way. So I'm not sure really what summer's going to bring. I guess like it changes every day and it's always exciting. Yeah. But I exciting. That's the adjective I choose. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. I like it's really optimistic.
My normal word is this is mayhem and foolishness, but I'm going to go with exciting today.
I like it.
Yeah. But I kind of feel like, as once school ends, because right now I guess they're feeding all summer long, aren't they?
Well, no, not necessarily. I think they made a rally or an all-call for schools to do that, but not every county is able to because of financial reasons. So they are saying that they want counties to have a summer feeding site, whatever that looks like. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure how that's going to roll out. I'm anxiously waiting for their list. If I know that it's coming, and I know they worked really, really hard to try to compile that list, as you said, and because I can testify that Amanda Harrison like you said, they want to feed kids just as much as we do, probably maybe even more. I don't know, but I know her heart, and I know that she does, and she certainly would probably do everything but short of going to jail to feed kids. So,
right.
But yeah, and that's been a concern for Liz and I as we move forward, is like, because we know people have gotten their stimulus checks, right? So when those start depleting, those funds, which I would assume is probably gone, and then they realize that school's out, and oh wait, are my kids going to get fed, and will they know where to look? Because honestly, it's like because things change so much with the feeding system, we know that you couldn't even go to the Department of Ed website and get the updated information. It wasn't their fault. They were not informed necessarily either from day to day.
Yeah.
So it made it
9 a.m. every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it does, we're concerned that maybe once that last day of school hits, the official, because every county, they're different on those days too. What's going to happen? Are we going to have another fear up, some fear set in a little bit, or insecurity where they're like, oh gosh, what are we going to do? And hopefully not, but that has been something that we've really been talking about.
Yeah, I've been kicking around a little bit that once they get that PEBT and they raid the grocery store.
Right.
What about all the other kids that were not eligible for that allocation? Where does that leave them? So there may be a little bit of a from that particular group of people, because not every child is included in that covering right now. So, I guess we'll just kind of have to see and ride the wave too. I know that speaking for CODA, we'll continue all summer long, and then we're plotting and planning some new exciting programming because I don't sleep. I lie awake at night and I think of things. It's terrible. It's horrible. but we're planning some kind of like adventure days in the park where we'll come, set up, feed a meal to the kids, and then do like an outdoor obstacle course, or maybe someone comes and reads to the kids a book outside while following the guidelines that are set forth by our health department. We've been really talking to the health department about launching that this summer, just to make sure that those kids are all reached and we can kind of keep them engaged. Since our pools are closed, I don't know if yours are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of those outdoor activities that parents count on to keep their kids out of mischief.
Right.
Yeah. So we're hoping to kind of keep them engaged 2 days a week at the park, and
I love that, because I know like some of the Energy Express programs are going to be virtual instead of like in person. They're still going to feed kids through like the same type of process that's been going on now, but it's good to hear you're thinking out of the box as usual, Lauren, and gonna get people outside. And I know
I have to shoo anyone away over 25.
Right.
No one over 25. So I said, well, we'll just run it, and then we'll run it again, and then we'll run it again. We don't want to leave anybody out. So
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing too. You all feed every child that comes knocking, at your door. And so that just makes my heart happy, because I know that there's been some issue or some instances where kids have been turned away for whatever reason. No judging, just it is what it is. Yeah. So I really appreciate that about you and what you and CODA do. So
well, thank you. We appreciate you guys too. You guys have been an incredible resource for us for 3 years?
Something like that. Yeah. That also seems like it's been longer.
You see, before COVID. Yeah. I think you bought us our first fleet of robots. I'm pretty sure that you funded those.
Maybe a 3D printer along the way or something. I can't remember. Yeah.
And like 8 robots, and one of them competed in nationals. I was like, look at that. Jenny the robot is doing so well.
That's awesome. Well, so is there anything else that people should know about you, Lauren, and CODA, or you, Liz, and what you all do and what we're doing? We're a little over an hour, which is no big deal because we can talk forever. I don't care. But I just always want to give people the opportunity, because sometimes I miss something. I
would just encourage folks to go to CODA Mountain Academy on Facebook and look us up. If there's any need for food, that all of our sites are listed there, and the times and addresses. And we'll feed your whole family, so you don't have to fleece off your kiddo's plate. Get your own plate. And you share a meal with your family. It's no questions asked, and it's always free, always. And also you can private message us if there's a need that we can, a need for food or produce or anything like that. If we can fill it, we will. So that's it for me. What about you, Liz?
I think that's a great way to end. I'll just say that we're still accepting any type of volunteer. If you want to volunteer in your area, whether you're immunocompromised and can't leave your home, or if you want to deliver food, any type of which way that you want to volunteer, you can go to rapidresponsewv.org and click on the volunteer button. Or if you have questions, you can send them to, I think it's info@rapidwv.org, or also to me or Jenny at any time, even through Facebook. I think at this point reachable by any means necessary. Courier pigeon, whatever.
I'll put, like I said, I'll put all of that information up for CODA and Lauren and Liz and I on here after we're done. But I'm really excited, though, to end on the fact that I'll be coming at you, Liz or Lauren, to talk about those cooking classes. So
I'm so excited.
I am too. Yeah, and maybe we can get some. We can post a recipe. We can make it so fun. I'm just so excited. Yeah, maybe
I
even
just had this
contests. I can find some money for contests. So we'll just. Yes.
And I just had this mental image. My mom moved in with us recently from Florida, like letting her do. This is Grandma's cooking hour. Right.
I love it. Yes. Let's do this. Yeah.
Grammy in the kitchen while we make an omelet.
Yes. Well, you could have like all 3 generations, right? You could be grandma and you and your child, and yes, all in the kitchen.
That's awesome. I'm so excited.
I want to know, will there be music and dancing as you're cooking? That's what I want. Good.
I can't promise it's good dancing. It's never good, but we will definitely, there'll be dancing and there'll be joy. So.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you both for being here in this session. And we'll do it again sometime. Maybe we'll check in with each other like in a couple weeks or so and do this again and see what happens. And maybe I can talk Amanda Harrison in coming here and talking about feeding kids too. That would be fun.
That would be awesome.
I'll work on that.
Do it.
Yeah. But you all have a great evening, and I guess you can go watch the governor's debate. I think it's going on right now too. So if you want, or not, I'm gonna go eat. Speaking of food,
I know. I keep smelling garlic from the kitchen. So
I'm smelling food too. I'm like,
me as well.
There we go. We're hungry. We're hangry. I've never seen either one of you hangry, so but thank you again, and we will talk later. I'm really excited about those cooking shows. So
me too.
Liz, I'll catch up with you. We're like a married couple now, so we finish each other's sentences, and it's all good,
we don't have like our marathon text sessions or
right.
But yeah, I'll talk to you in the morning, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.